Do subscribe to Ekeeda channel and press bell icon to get updates about latest engineering, HSC and IIT JEE main and advanced videos.
Hello students, today we are studying chapter Morphology of Flowering Plants. In that we are doing topic plant tissues. Tissues. In bio, whenever I call about tissues or whenever I say tissues, tissues means group of cells that will be doing some function together. Today we'll be studying what are plant tissues and what is their functions. Plant tissues. Whenever certain functions have to be done inside plants, obviously the cells of the plants will do it. And when number of cells come together, they form tissues. So basically, plant tissues are nothing but a group of cells working together or living together and doing a certain function in group. That are basically plant tissues. Now plant tissues can be of type dermal, they could be vascular or they could be grounded or fundamental. When I talk about vascular plant tissues, they are basically involved in protection, providing mechanical support for providing rigidity to the plant. The vascular tissue, an example of this could be xylem and phloem. And these tissues which are vascular are nothing but conducting tissue. Basically, your xylem conducts or carries water and minerals, whereas your phloem helps to carry food particles or glucose from the leaf where it is prepared during the process of photosynthesis to other parts of a plant. Those are vascular tissues, xylem and phloem. The last type of tissues could be ground or fundamental tissues, and these are the major important tissues. They basically include parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, and all such tissues which basically form the fruit, the outer covering of the fruit, the inner covering of the fruit, various flower structures, leaves, the stem, bark, all such things. Tissues basically are divided into two different types. One are meristematic tissues and another are permanent tissues. When I talk about meristematic tissues, these are those tissues which originated first in the plants, and meristematic tissues are capable into dividing another types of tissue. Depending upon the origin or where they are present, meristematic tissues can be called as apical meristem, which is present at the top of the plant. Lateral meristem, they are present on the sides or the branches of the plant. And the last one is intercalary meristem. When I say intercalary meristem, they are present between the nodes, internodes in the middle part of the plant. Apart from meristematic tissue, the another type of the tissue which is present in plant is the permanent tissue, or the tissue which remains lifelong, doesn't changes, and which carries majority of the function. Permanent tissues can be divided into simple permanent and complex permanent. Simple permanent tissues basically have same type of cells, and those are parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. Whereas complex permanent tissues, which are xylem and phloem, have different kinds of cells and they carry out different functions. That is, xylem conducts water and minerals and phloem carries food. Plant tissues. The definition for plant tissue is that they are group of cells which are almost similar in structure and they carry out a similar function together in unity. Plant tissues could be dermal, vascular, or grounded or fundamental depending upon their nature. Now, dermal tissues are basically present on the epidermis, or you can say the outer surfaces, and they provide protection purposes, or you can say for rigidity. Vascular tissues are xylem and phloem, which conduct water and food respectively. Your grounded tissues. Now, grounded tissues are all other tissues except that of vascular and dermal tissues. They are parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, etc. Plant tissues can be basically divided into two different forms. One is meristematic tissues and another type is permanent tissue. When I say meristematic tissues, these were the first tissues that originated or formed inside plant. Now, depending upon the place where meristematic tissues are formed, on the origin basis, they can be divided into these two types. One is the apical meristem, which is formed at the top of the plant. Lateral meristem, which are formed in the branch regions, and intercalary meristem is formed inside or middle regions. Primary meristem is basically formed in the cambium, or you can say the tree trunk, or basically the stem of the plant. The thickness of a tree or the cambium or the white region is basically due to this primary meristem. Permanent tissues are those tissues which are formed once, will do a lot of function, and they don't die even at maturity. Simple permanent tissues basically have same type of cell, that is parenchyma, collenchyma and sclerenchyma. They almost have cells which are similar in structure. Another kind of tissue that's available is complex permanent tissues, and an example of those are xylem and phloem. Both xylem and phloem basically have different types of cells and they carry out different kinds of function. For example, xylem conducts water or carries water and minerals from the soil to different parts of a plant, whereas your phloem basically helps to carry photosynthetically prepared food, that is glucose, from the thalapod or the stromal region of a leaf to various plant parts, which could be. Now, xylem and phloem are basically divided or present as bodies throughout plants, or they are basically divided and present in the lateral, intercalary, meristematic, all the regions, and help to conduct water, minerals and food. They are the conducting vessels or carrier vessels of plant. Students, in this part of the chapter we have studied about what were plant tissues and what are the different kinds of plant tissues, the meristematic tissue and the permanent tissue. I hope you all are clear about this concept of plant tissue. Thank you.